Research data management refers to how you handle, organise and structure your research data. All research data needs to be actively managed throughout the research life cycle, so that high quality data is produced at the end for maximum reusability. Upon completion of your project, you should archive all data associated with your research in Western Sydney University's institutional research profiles and repository. All datasets are assigned descriptive metadata and are archived with a stable URL or DOI. A DOI is a digital object identifier for citation purposes. This permanent record of your research data improves transparency and reproducibility of your research, which is linked to higher citation rates and increased collaboration opportunities. It also makes your research project compliant with data preservation best practices, Western Sydney University policy, grant funding conditions, and perhaps your journal publishing requirements. If you already have a research data management plan, access this plan by navigating from the library's homepage, and from within the plan, click on Create a data record from this plan. All the previously recorded information will populate many of the fields to convert your plan into an archived record. If you did not create a research data management plan, on the library's Research Data Management page, click on Submit a Research Dataset. You can navigate through the screens either by clicking Next at the bottom of the page or by selecting from the menu. This form should take about 10 to 20 minutes to complete. At any time, you can save the record and return to it later. If you encounter any problems with completing the form at any point, contact the library for assistance. Save and close the record, and go to the Western Now portal to access the Support for Research Data Management Planning form. Access either the student or staff portal as appropriate, and search for Support for Research Data Management. Fill in as much detail as you have, and submit. Starting on the project information page, you can click on the small question marks to see more information. First, record the project name. This will be the title for the dataset, so it is recommended that it is unique to the dataset and not exactly the same as the publication title. At the very least, you can use the publication title with the word Dataset at the end. Record the funding source next. If there are several sources, you can use the green plus button to add fields. Record the grant number or numbers as appropriate. Under FOR codes, check the tick boxes with the same field of research codes. Then repeat the same for the SEO codes. FOR and SEO codes help future researchers easily find relevant data for their work. On the dataset information page, repeat the dataset title from the previous page. In the description field, write a short description of the research project. You may be able to reuse text from your grant or ethics application to describe the project. Include some extra information about the nature of the data that was collected, including file types and a description of fields and file names if necessary. Under Data Type, select Dataset. For any keywords, add any word that future researchers might use to search for your dataset. To add another keyword, click on the green plus button. For data record size, record the estimated size of the datasets and include details about the number of files. On the Key People page, under Principal Investigator, start typing and select your name from the drop-down list. Your email address and ORCID ID will automatically populate. Under Collaborators, WSU, include all Western Sydney University collaborators. Every researcher added here will appear as an author of the data in the eventual citation. If you collaborated with non-WSU researchers, you'll record these names in the next step when the data record is published. If you are a PhD student, include your principal supervisor. On the data retention page, select the applicable minimum retention period. You may need to select a justification for an extended retention period and the earliest possible disposal date of the data. On the Data Access page, record the location of the data. The two preferred options are URL and attachment. If using URL, include the data location and any notes. If you're using an attachment, you'll need to save the form before including any attachments. If your dataset is less than 1 GB, attach it to the record. If your dataset is larger than 1 GB, contact the library using the Western Now form, and the library will work with ITDS to create a permanent storage location on a WSU server. Also enter the details of any software or equipment that you've used that may contribute to the understanding of the user. Finally, on the Submit Archival Record page, submit the form by clicking on Save and Close. Your data record is now finalized in the library's research profiles and repository. The final step in the data management process is to create a published record of your data that can be indexed in Research Data Australia. First, click into your data record and click on Create a data publication from this record. This is the start page. All the information that you have entered in the previous process will be populated, including title, description, and FOR codes. On the Specify Coverage page, include the start and end dates of data collection. Only enter information into the time period field if the data cannot be described using the date range fields. Under Locations, record the location of where the data was collected. Use the green plus button to record additional locations. If you have KML or GeoJSON data, you can also add this information as well. The Select Data page is where you indicate how open the data will be. If your dataset contains sensitive information or there are data privacy concerns related to its use, select the box for Publish Metadata Only, No Data. If the dataset can be published openly, place a tick in the box or boxes next to the file names. This dataset will now be completely open to the public to view. Under Access Conditions, indicate if the access to the page is open, restricted, or conditional. If there are specific access conditions that are recorded on a URL, add the link here. On the Supplements page, link your related article. Use the publication title and the DOI link to your article. Also, record any related websites that are relevant to your research. The license page records the copyright or Creative Commons license that applies to your research data. If you are unsure about which Creative Commons license to apply, contact the university's copyright officer. On the citation page, if you would like your dataset to be considered for a DOI, tick the Request a DOI checkbox. A library staff member will assess this upon publication and assign a DOI if it meets the criteria. Add the dataset publication title into the title field. This will be the published name of the record. Enter all authors in the order that you would like them to appear. Add more authors by clicking on the plus symbol, and remove authors by clicking on the minus symbol. Rearrange the order of the authors using the up and down arrows on the side. Include all email addresses and ORCID numbers if known, so that people can be contacted to discuss the research if required. Leave the publication date blank, as this will be completed by library staff in the approval process. Finally, on the Submit page, include any embargo information related to the data. Click into the checkbox if you need to embargo by date. Include the date when the embargo will end, and also any notes related to the embargo. If you have any other information or queries, you can add these below. Then click on Submit for publication. This record will now be approved by library staff, and a DOI, if appropriate, or a permanent URL will be applied. Being discoverable in the Research Profiles and Repository helps to create a more complete picture of your research output. Use the information provided to update your ORCID profile, your resume, grant applications, and to promote your datasets on any professional networks or social media platforms. Your research dataset is now an entirely published research output. It is discoverable in the Research Data Australia portal, where you can track access and usage for your metrics reporting.